In this chapter, we are going to have a look at the pagination component, which will allow us to split number of records into separate pages. So rather than having a long list of records, we will have, let's say, 10 records per page, and then pagination will allow us to go to the next page, previous, and so on. Okay, so under the app directory, we are going to create a new directory called pagination. And under this directory, we are going to start with a pagination class. And it's going to be within the app and then pagination namespace. Okay. So now within the pagination class, we are going to start with the constructor. This constructor will take 4 arguments. First one will be the instance of the Illuminate HTTP request. So request. Second one is going to be number of records, total number of records. So records underscore count, for instance. Then the next one is going to tell us how many records per page we would like to display, so per underscore page, and by default we'll set it to 10. And then what should be the key in the query string indicating the page number. So for this one we are going to use the argument called key, and it's going to be, by default, it's going to be page. Now I'm going to initialize all these fields. So there we go. Up here at the top we have, I'm just going to add some lines. Records count is going to be of an integer type as well. And let's now add these to the doc blocks as well. There we go. So it's all ready. Now we will have some other properties. Let's add them straight away as well. So the next one will be also private. It's going to be pages count, which will indicate how many pages we actually have based on the number of records, and by default I'm going to associate it with just number 1. Then we are going to have current page, so private current, and it's going to be 1 by default as well. Again, it's an integer. After the current we are going to have previous, which I'll also set to 1, to the first page in other words, and then we're going to have private next, also 1 by default. Okay, now if we scroll down within the constructor, after we've initialized all these properties, we are going to call a method called setup. And let's add this setup method. Now from within the setup methods, we're going to make 4 calls to separate methods again. This time is going to be set pages, the first one. The second one is going to be this set current page. Next one is going to be this set previous page, and the last one will be this set next page. So basically when we initialize this class, all these methods will be triggered, and obviously based on whatever we pass through as an argument, these methods will take care of obviously overwriting these other properties. Okay, so let's start with the set pages method. And this set pages method will simply override the pages count property with using the function sale, which is basically going to make sure that whatever we pass through as an argument, which should evaluate to a float, will be rounded up to the next full integer. So if we had, let's say, 1.1, that would equal 2 after passing it through this sale function. In other words, if we're going to have, let's say, 11 records total, and then we want 10 records per page, then obviously 11 dividing by 10 would give us 1.1. So sale will return 2 for this obviously expression. In other words, it will tell us that we have to have 2 pages, obviously because 11 is more than 10 and we only want 10 records per page, so we definitely have 2 pages. Okay, so let's use this records count, and we divide it by this per page. So that's our set pages. Let's add doc blocks, starting with the setup as well, because we don't have it here. It's going to be set all properties and then return void. And then set pages will be set number of pages, and it also doesn't return anything, so return void. Now the next method is the set current page. Let's just add it quickly. And from within this one, we're going to override current property equals this, and we're going to refer to another method, get current page. And what we're going to pass to this get current page as an argument is going to be this request. And on this request, we want to get whatever value is associated with the query string with the key which we pass through as an argument and associated with this key property. So if we pass through page, then what we want to get using this request get would be basically page equals whatever, 2, 3, or whatever else. So obviously this line here, this request get, and this key will return the value associated with it. And this is going to be passed through to this get current page method. Okay, let's quickly add doc blocks to this method as well. So set current page, and this method doesn't return anything either, return void again. Now let's add this get current page method, and this get current page takes current page as argument, so current underscore page, by default null, because they may not be the argument within the URL. When we first land on this page, there may not be the page argument in the attribute in a URI, obviously, so we won't have anything there, in which case obviously the null is going to be passed through as an argument. So here we're going to first check if is underscore null our current page, then return 1. It's good, meaning that obviously we are on the first page. Otherwise, I'm going to typecast whatever has been passed through as an argument to an integer to make sure that obviously the value is as an integer and current page. So if it's null, return 1, indicating that we're on the first page. Otherwise, return whatever has been passed through as an argument, but make sure we convert it into an integer. Okay, so some doc blocks here as well. Let's just scroll up a little bit. It returns integer, and then for the param, it might be mixed because we don't know what it's going to return from within this get method call, or by default it's going to be null. And then let's add some summary for this method. So get current page. Okay, after the get current page, the next method was the set previous page. So let's add the method right at the bottom, and I'm going to add this other one as well, just a step actually, so we can work on it later on, so we don't have to scroll up later on to this one again. Okay, so set previous page is going to be this previous property, and we overwriting this with, again, call to another method, get previous page. And let's add this method as well. I'm going to shift it up right after this set previous page, and I'm going to quickly add doc blocks as well. Set previous page, and it returns void. So get previous page, here we are going to check if this, and again another method which we need to add in just a moment, has only one page. If it only has one page, then the previous page will simply be the current page. So return this current. Then we are going to check if this is first page, then return this current again, because the previous page, if we are on a first page, is not going to link anywhere else but to the same page. Basically, there is not going to be going to the minus page, in other words. And otherwise, if none of these conditions evaluates to true, then we simply return this current minus 1. So if we're on a second page, deduct 1, that's going to give us 1, which is the previous page. Okay, so obviously now we need to add these two methods which we've just called here. So has only one page, and then is first page as well. Shift it up here. So let's start with this has only one page, and this one will return this records count, so number of records. If it's less or equal this per page, then that would indicate that there's only one page. So for instance, we have 10 records and we want to display 10 per page, then that means we only will have one page. If there were more records than 10, then obviously that would indicate that there's more than just one page. Okay, let's add some doc block here. Returns boolean true or false. Check if there's only one page. and then is first page, we are simply going to return this current, then triple equal symbol, because we know that the current is going to be of the integer type. If we scroll up, you can see we typecast it to an integer, otherwise we actually returning the integer, so it's definitely an integer when we set it. So we can use this triple equal symbol, and then we are going to compare it against ones, because obviously the first page would be obviously represented by integer 1. So is first page, if this current is equal 1, then it is. Okay, let's add the dog blocks here as well. It returns boolean, and then let's say check if current page is the first one. And after this, actually, before we go any further, let's add some other helper methods. So we have is first, we should probably have methods for is last and is current. So let's just add this straight away. But rather than having them actually private, let's change it to public, so later on we can actually write some tests for it as well. So is first, and then the same for has only one page, make it public, and another public function is last page. And now we return this equals current triple equal this pages count, so how many pages we have, and if the current page represents the same integer as pages counts, then obviously we are on the last page. So again, let's add some dog blocks here. Returns boolean, and then check if current page is the last one. And then the last helper method, which is going to be public function, is current page. And then we have the, actually we're going to pass the argument here, so value for instance, and we're going to return this current equals triple equal symbol and value. Let's typecast this value to integer. We could obviously type hinted here using integer if you're using PHP 7, but I started doing this course without actually using this PHP 7 type hinting, when we obviously can use Scala types like integer, string, and so on. So let's keep it this way. I'm just going to typecast it here to make sure that the value is converted to an integer if it's not an integer already. Current is definitely an integer, obviously, so again we can use the triple equal symbol to check for the value and data type equality, identity in this case. Okay, so let's add some dog block here. It takes value which might be mixed type, and then boolean is what we return from this method, and check if current page or check if argument matches current page. Okay, so these methods are now done. I haven't added actually dog blocks to get previous page. So for this get previous page, it returns integer, and let's just say get previous page. If we scroll down, the next method we are interested in is the set next page, and this one will simply override the next property with this get next page method. And let's add some dog blocks here. We say set next page, and it returns void. And now let's add this get next page method, which is going to be private as well. And here we are going to start with if this has only one page, then we simply return this current, same as we had for this previous page. Then we have if this is last page method, which you've created earlier, then return this current as well. We could obviously inline it all together because we are returning current the same for both of these conditions. So we could do this, or this is last page, and probably we should probably keep it like this. Let's do the same for this previous one, rather than actually having this return statement twice. Let's just inline it here and do it like this. So if has only one page, or current page is the first page, then return current. Let's do it like this. Okay, so that's when these two conditions return true. Otherwise, we go and return this current plus 1. So if we're on the first page, we want to go to the next one, it's going to be 1 plus 1 equals 2, which is going to be next page. Okay, Let's add some doc block, return an integer, get next page for the summary. And that's pretty much all within this video. We're going to continue with this class in the next one by adding a few more methods. So let's dive into the next video.